today's game?
Well, I'm really happy for our players. I'm happy for the staff. I'm happy for UConn Nation. This program has never beaten Boston College, and for us to be able to go out and do that today, it felt really good for everybody. And you know, this program has been through a lot, as you guys know, over the last several years, and these players have been through a lot. They've struggled on the field, you know, COVID, canceled the season, coaching change last year, and through it all, they've just never wavered. And I can tell you that with an absolute straight face, with even a hint of trying to embellish. It's just the way they're built. And I felt that when I first got here, and I felt it even more today. I'm not a guy that likes to say that anyone deserves things. I think we work to earn things. But I'm going to tell you this, they work to earn it, and they deserve it. And it's a step in the right direction. And as I tell you guys every week, you know, I get over these things pretty quick. I mean, the first thing I thought about is we play Friday night, you know, against UMass. And we have to make sure that this emotion that they're feeling right now, that we come back to reality, to earth, to our focus point very, very quickly. And knowing these guys and knowing our staff, I think we will. But I'm really happy for them, and I'm happy for UConn Nation. I'm happy for Dan Toscano. I'm happy for Max. I'm happy for, you know, I'm happy for Bob Howard, our athletic trainer, who's been here like 30-something years. You know, I mean, these guys have they've been waiting for this, and they're all part of it. So it was a good day.
You talk about how well the defense played.
Well, we've been, you know, these kids work hard, right? And there was a little transition early in the year, and we changed some things up, and I've steadily felt like they were getting a real grasp on what we want to become defensively. We had some tough games there, you know, that 3-game stretch. Obviously, you know, and I told you guys I felt like we were making some hidden progress. And today they played well, and I felt this coming. But I'll tell you, and I'll tell them all the time, it doesn't matter unless you back it up, right? I mean, this one only matters if we go back it up. And so I think there's a real focus. I think these guys made a little bit of a declaration today that they were going to play a certain way, and they played that way.
What way was that?
Physical, intense, disciplined, tough, hard-nosed, tackling, getting after the quarterback, knocking people around, playing discipline in terms of gap integrity, in terms of their drops, not trying to go make a play themselves, trusting their teammate to be where they're supposed to be. You know, that's how defense has to function. It can't function as 11 individuals. It has to function as 11 together, and they played that way today.
What you have to do to kind of manage the game offensively, obviously you're down in your running backs, and you know you have some shortcomings there, but what did you have to do to manage that?
Well, we had to continue to try to run the ball. You know, even though after those first couple of drives it got a little bit difficult, and you know, we had to continue to try to protect Zion and get him on the move a little bit, play action. You know, let him use his legs a little bit. The one thing that we obviously have to do better is eliminate human error. You know, the false starts were a real killer. I think we had 5 on offense. We had 1 on special teams, and so those are unacceptable. Those are things we control, and so we've got to do a better job as a staff of making sure we find a way to control those. And if that means we have to crank up crowd noise, if that means we have to you know, have the defense calling out a cadence, which, you know, those guys were doing today. Whatever it takes for us to focus in, we have to focus in. But, you know, our guys are tough and they're resilient, and, you know, we don't make excuses for our youth. We don't make excuses because of injuries. We understand that they're part of the game, and we expect young men to step up and play whenever, you know, whenever they're asked to, and they do that.
Jim, when you talk about all of the qualities that this team has to come through what it went through before you got here, how much does Jackson Mitchell kind of embody those things? And you found him here, and how much is that?
100%. You know, and Ian, I don't want to discount Ian Swenson. He's been through a lot. But those 2 guys, and Christian Haynes, and those 3 guys in particular, they always have stood out to me. You know, they're all quiet. They're all hard-nosed. They're all great teammates, team members. They've got that resilience. They're fun to be around. They're focused. They haven't gotten down. You know, they don't get down. I mean, it's amazing. In this day and age, and I don't know how often you guys are around young men, but to have someone answer you as an adult with a yes sir, no sir is very rare. All right, and entitlement has become kind of predominant. And you know, those three guys in particular personify what a team is. It's always a yes sir or a no sir. They don't believe that they're entitled to anything. They want to work for everything. And as a coach, as an adult, that's so refreshing.
Jackson, I think, had a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, an interception, all in the fourth quarter.
All in the fourth quarter.
How special was that to watch?
It's pretty cool. You know, pretty cool. And I don't realize that. It's hard for me during the game to follow statistics and who's doing what. But it speaks volumes about him, right? It was a big moment. And we've never beat BC. He's never beat BC. He's a great football player. He wants to leave a legacy. That's how you leave a legacy right there. Is you come up with those types of plays in the fourth quarter when your name's Jackson Mitchell. It's pretty awesome. Pretty cool.
How's Keelan?
Keelan, he sprained his ankle. You know, it's sad. I mean, he worked so hard to get back. And then I think it might have been the second series. You know, he sprains his ankle. He assured me after the game he'll be ready Friday night. We'll see. You know, he's been a fast healer. I think he's demonstrated that the way he came back off the collarbone. I know this, that between our athletic trainers and Keelan's they'll do everything they can to get him back.
Coach, can you just describe the impact Price Yates had in this game? He had 3 sacks, really stood out in the defense. Just describe what it's been like to have on your defense this season.
Yeah, thanks for recognizing him because he deserves to be recognized. He never says anything. Like, I don't know that I've ever had like a conversation with him that lasted more than like 15 or 20 seconds. You know, he's always quiet, but he's very focused. He works so hard, you know, every single day at his craft. And if you ask Kenny McClendon, our defensive line coach, long ago, he said, you know, we got something special in this Price Yates kid. You know, there's something about him that's different. And he's been very, 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 very consistent for us all year. And then today, when it was time for him to have a breakout game, he did that. And you know what? He's the kind of guy. I wouldn't be. I'm saying this not being facetious. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back tonight in Checkman, working on something that he didn't get right today. That's the kind of guy he is.
You were pretty successful with getting pressure on Jerkovich and then Moorhead a little later. What were you doing in the front seven to make him feel comfortable?
Well, our guys just rushed well. You know, they've had a lot of injuries up front, and we want to try to take advantage of that early by pinning our ears back and going after them. I didn't feel like in the first half we were finishing our pass rush very well. I thought they were slipping out and making some plays. And we talked about that at halftime, about squeezing the pocket more, about closing up some of those escape lanes and playing off of each other better. But the guys really, they accepted the challenge. They've got a great football player over there in Zay Taylor. And we knew we weren't going to be able to add a lot of extra rushers and still take care of Zay. And so the hat was kind of on the front four to get pressure, and they did that. And that's always a good thing.
What was the game plan to kind of take Zay out of the game for Boston College?
Well, you're never going to take a kid like that out of the game. I don't know what his stats were. I mean, I just know one time we had him doubled and caught it for like 30 yards. That's the kind of kid he is, But the key is not letting him get big plays in the interview. So, we were rolling over the top of him some. We were doubling him a little bit. I think, though, our defensive backs, and our linebackers, had great understanding of where he was and what they liked to do with him when he was in those spots. And that allowed us to get in some throwing lanes and make some plays.
Speaking of the defensive backs, Durante Jones had a huge game for you. Can you tell us about his leadership and what he brought you in the field today?
He's a rare player, rare performer, rare person. Really, I've coached a lot of really great players, and they all had this certain quality in terms of the way they prepared. The way they went about their business during the week to get them ready for game day, and that's what he has. Like, nobody studies more than he. Nobody asks more questions more than Durante. I mean, he asks so many questions during the week. He knows calls before they come in. He's calling me, texting me, what are we thinking in this situation? What are we thinking in that situation? The great defensive backs that I've coached, the guys that are in the Hall of Fame, and those were the intangibles that they had. Now, I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, right? Now, I hope someday he is. But those intangibles that he demonstrates every day, You know, that's what leads to games like this, studying your opponent, you know, knowing your role, knowing tendencies, communicating, and he just does a great job of all those things.
Sometimes game managers get a bad name, and I thought Zion did a great job picking like 6 balls up off the carpet to keep plays going, making a couple big runs when he needed to. Can you just talk about him not losing the games for you?
Well, that's important, you know, especially when you're dealing with a quarterback that's still, you know, still maturing at this level. Sometimes just you know, not making a play that's going to lose you is as important as making lose for you is as important as making a play that's going to help you win. You know, and as we've gone through the season, he's become more and more adept at understanding that forcing something in there or trying to make something out of nothing isn't going to work at this level. And so I'm okay with him being a game manager. You know, let's manage the next 3 games very, very well. And then we'll work like crazy in the offseason and help him make the next step.
You talked about Justin, scored the only touchdown. You had to talk to us earlier this week, just what that means to you and him.
Well, it was a great play. First of all, the way he caught the ball, the way he had to maneuver his body and you know, go out and not just, he didn't catch it, he had to go attack the football. And then, you know, he showed his athleticism and his speed and his elusiveness in going and scoring a touchdown there. And he's a fun player to work with. He's a tough matchup. You know, he's a 6'3", 225 guy that, you know, you put a linebacker on, and athletically he's probably a little bit better at times. You put a defensive back, he's a little bit bigger, but he can run. So he's a nice weapon to have. And he's certainly, the last, you know, several games really started to show up for us.
Coach, as you continue to try to build this really from the ground up, these type of games, you know, against the BC, against the UMass, in terms of recruiting, these are huge. Is that something you ever kind of take into consideration at times, or is it just, you know, you can't really think about that?
And they feel this atmosphere, and they see you do something that hasn't been done before. I mean, it's certainly impactful. I think the most important thing that we can always do in recruiting is win football games, you know, and win them the way we won them today, which is tough and hard-nosed and physical. And you know, you do those 2 things, you know, you're going to have success in recruiting.
John, can you? Yeah, I know you've probably heard a lot about the history of Boston College and UConn and some of the things that they've done.
Haven't. I mean, the only thing I know is the kind of the ACC thing.
Right.
But
Well, but that and the fact that they're in the neighborhood, obviously.
they what?
They're in the neighborhood. Can you
Wait,
put it?
there's a what?
They're in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Oh, they're in the neighborhood.
Right, New England.
Yeah, they're in our neighborhood,
Yeah.
right?
Can you put into context what it means to beat this team, you know, the way you did today?
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, being new here, I probably don't understand it as well as some people that have been here and part of this for so long. I certainly understand it better now after seeing the reaction of our fans and of everyone in the program, and I respect the heck out of that. I know that, you know, the University of Connecticut has never beaten Boston College in football except for today, you know, so it's a great feeling. It's a heck of an accomplishment, and we hope it builds hope. We hope it brings people back into the stadium. We hope it shows that we're on the right trajectory. I mean, that's an ACC team. You know, that's a Power 5 football team. That's a team that I think was 38-3 or 35-3 against other teams in the Northeast. We were underdogs, you know, and we found a way to win, and we just got to build on that.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks.